Okay, so as Kevin's alluded to, the reason why we're here is that we were really fortunate to be able to be awarded some funding from the UK government's Levelling Up Fund, and Powys Council have enabled that to happen. We have a historic relationship with Antrim Cymru. I used to actually work for Antrim Cymru in a previous guise when I was working for Business Wales. And when I left Business Wales, the team at Antrim Cymru reached out to us and said, well, we would like to be able to develop international trade dimension to what we can offer. So let's talk about how we do it. And a partnership was formed from that. So we're actually equal delivery partners in this particular project. The project that we are talking about allows for 3 specific products to be enabled for businesses in Powys. So the first one is that we provide training, and we provide training in a very bespoke way for either businesses who might want to look at training their administration team or their buying team or their sales team on international trade, and particularly with exports. But also we called the project Never Too Small to Export. And there's a reason for that, and that is that the makeup of businesses in Wales has a very high concentration of micro businesses. Micro businesses are businesses that have 0 to 9 employees, and in the main are actually sole traders. Most of the micro businesses do not actually employ anyone. Now, it's really important for the UK economy, and particularly for the Welsh economy, to be able to do as much as we can to support the micro business community. And quite often, the micro business community are the ones that have a unique opportunity to export, because they develop very, very niche and very, very high quality products and services. But because they are small, they don't think that they can actually cope in an international environment. Where actually the opposite is absolutely true. Because of the uniqueness, because of the quality, businesses have a real opportunity to be able to sell their products. And they can stand with the big boys, they really can. Keith is going to talk later on about a new market that the UK is formally joining at the end of this year, but has been negotiated for the last 2 to 3 years, which is called CPTPP. Keith has just come back from Japan, and his conversations in Japan has proved that Welsh products are highly sought after. Made in Wales, made in the UK, has a quality mark attached to it. People want products from the UK, they want products from Wales. And it's not just the big companies, it's not just the Airbuses of this world. It is literally small, unique, niche type products. In the room today, we've got businesses representing the drinks industry. That's not a coincidence. It's not that they're the only ones that actually came. They're the ones that we invited. And we invited representatives from the drinks industry because there is a particular project that we're working on that we think will change the drinks industry in Wales. Sounds a very bold statement, doesn't it, to be able to say things like that? But actually, it is going to change, because one of the problems that the drinks industry has from a micro business perspective is the affordability of being able to sell their products overseas. And we are putting in place solutions to be able to do that. So Keith has just come back from Japan. That conversation was had in Japan. I've just come back from New York, and I have had a very similar conversation. And there are genuine opportunities and genuine desire to be able to buy made in Wales, produced in Wales alcohol. So it says something about us, and the rugby goes alongside it as well. It's quite remarkable, the strength of the rugby. We have an office in Wrexham, and the brand of the football club has made an enormous difference to Wales. It really has. Years and years ago, when we used to go abroad, people used to say to us, "Where are you from?" And we'd say, "Oh, from Wales." "Where's Wales?" "Well, Wales is," and we'd point to on a map. "Oh yeah, Wales, England." Nothing more gut-wrenching than that, to hear somebody turn around and say, "Yeah, Wales, England." When I was over this last time, "Where are you from?" "Wales." "Oh, Wales, is that anywhere near Wrexham?" "Yeah." So you can see how things are sort of changing on that one. So the projects that we have in place is about training. We call that particular side of the project Never Too Small to Export. And the clue's in the title. You are never too small to export. What you need is the ambition, a quality product, and the support and the experience to be able to make it happen. We hope that we can offer the latter part of that, but we need you to bring the other bits in place, and we're finding it, and we're finding it very quickly. We also have another project that we are able to deliver, and that is what we call an export readiness review. There are businesses that have exported, and Kevin alluded to this. We've banned the word Brexit, okay? We talk about leaving the European Union, because that's the truth of the matter. We have left the European Union as a trading market. What's different? The only difference is that the countries we used to supply as part of a single market are now classified as being an export market. Yes, there's a bit of paperwork. Yes, there are issues. There are a few political issues that are slowly being ironed out. And there's been an awful lot, and I'm not saying this out of turn, there has been bad will on both parties, both from the EU and from the UK government. And when you've got two parties that are looking to score points off each other, you're never going to get a smooth transition. But those things are starting to dissipate now. At the end of the day, businesses need to trade. And European businesses want to trade with British businesses, and British businesses want to trade with European businesses. So what we have been looking to do is to find a way to be able to educate on both sides of the continent, but also to empower businesses to be able to have a look, re-energize any previous contacts that they had and any supplies that they had, and then look for new ones as well. And again, we are talking with partners all over the world, and particularly in Europe. And we're starting now to see that the conversation has changed. The conversation now is, well, we always wanted to trade with Britain, and now that there's a change of government, we see it as an opportunity to be able to increase that trade. So lots and lots of opportunities. So our project, which is called an Export Readiness Review, will actually revisit a company's capability of exporting. We'll have a look at what's been done in the past, what's being done at present. And we'll have a look at what can be improved, what's done well, what's not done so well. And then we'll throw our 5 pennyworth in with information and intelligence that we have. But we don't just leave it as there. We don't go in there and say, oh, you did that well, aren't you good? And here's a big report, thank you very much, and go away again. We stay with you. We stay with you way beyond the length of the project. Because what we want is something to happen. We can go in there, we can make you feel good, we can give you a really glossy report, but that's not what we're about. What we're about is encouraging you to be able to develop your exports further. Or if you've never exported before, to actually try it. And again, we're there to hold your hand to be able to enable you to do that. So an export readiness review is literally 8 days of consultancy from ourselves. And we have a range of experts within ITSG, but we also have a range of trusted partners. And again, a couple of examples of our trusted partners are in the room, and I'm going to be speaking to you today. Our trusted partners are independent businesses that provide a service that we think hits our quality level, but actually will make your jobs better and easier. We are about finding solutions for you. Logistics, customs, money. You know, the 3 things that you need to be able to do to get your product from here to the end user. And we've got representatives of really significant companies in the room who are there to help you. They're not here to sell their product. They're not here to get you signed up to anything. They're actually here to offer support to you and to know that they are there for you in the future. So that's the type of power that comes out of a project like the one that we've got. And then the third element that we've got is in reverse. We look at supply chain. And when you think about the supply chain issues that the country has faced over the last few years, we started off with us leaving the European Union and all the rhetoric about that, and people saying that, oh, we'll never be able to get our widgets overseas and things like that, and Holyhead is going to be 20-mile tailbacks and so on and so on and so on. It didn't happen. We know it didn't happen. But the media like a good story. But it was still a disruption to our supply chains, and businesses were finding that it was difficult to actually get product into the country. So we're talking about imports in effect, but we're talking about supply chain. And then, of course, we had COVID, And COVID was a massive shock globally. And the end result of COVID was that different countries were actually closing down, locking down at different times. So the supply chain was completely destroyed. When you think of how much we actually bring in, how much quantity of product we bring in from places like China and India and America and places like that. And containers were not literally leaving the country. And then we found that containers were in the wrong place. And it took 2-3 years. And there are still issues being sorted out because of COVID. But what a wake-up call for the UK. Remember about the thing about buying a new car? One of my friends, he made a fortune with second-hand cars because he had a small business and he bought a fleet of new cars and they were 18 months old. He sold the lot and he made a profit on every single car that he sold during COVID lockdown because we couldn't get little computer chips to be able to do it because of the supply chain. So that's a real wake-up call for people. And I know I'm sort of using an illustration about big business, but big business permeates down to little businesses as well. We couldn't get medicines, we couldn't get food supplies and things like that. We just got that sorted out, and then Mr. Putin decided to play silly people and invade Ukraine. And the impact on the global economy from his invasion of Ukraine has been absolutely colossal. And the country was just about coming out of COVID. We were just getting ourselves together. And then again, oil prices went up, food prices went up, the cost of living went through the roof, all the political ramifications that followed that. But from a supply chain point of view, it was difficult. It was an enormous problem for us all. And then we find, because businesses are very good at finding solutions, and that's our role, is to help and encourage businesses to find those solutions. So we found then that businesses were able to get product through Ukraine. Poland came to the fore, and we were able to get product from Ukraine into Poland. Negotiations were to get a small amount of shipping to get grain moved and things like that. Slowly but surely, oil prices started to come down again, and things started to settle down. Things started to get back to, not normal, but certainly a lot better than they had been. And then we have the incident in Gaza. And then all of a sudden then, we got the Middle East as a tinderbox, and it starts again. So what's the first thing that happened? Shipping is affected. So instead of it taking 3 to 4 days, or maybe a week to bring a product over, it takes an extra week now because shipping can't go through the Red Sea, because it's not secure. So again, supply chain is the thing that gets hit on that one. So when we had this opportunity to be able to have funding to go and work with businesses, we thought, well, maybe this is something that we should really seriously look at. What can we do to support businesses to help them to look at their supply chain? So we do what we call a supply chain review. And again, it is basically paying for experts to go in there, look at the purchasing habits of a business, look at their supply chain needs, and try to look at alternatives and try to look for solutions for that. And then we've got climate change, and we've got all of the needs of being able to improve your supply chain to be able to buy nearer. One of the positive things that's come out of the supply chain reviews that we've been doing is that we've actually been able to encourage businesses to buy locally as well. Why do you always have to buy from China? When actually, if you look what's on your doorstep, you might actually find that the products are actually cheaper to bring to the workplace. Excuse me. Because the cost of bringing freight over from China is not always as cheap as you think. And particularly when you have a crisis. When we go back to the aftermath of COVID, it cost about 10 times more to bring a container over from China than it did before that. And that's if you could bring it over, which is why the cost of living went through the roof. So all these things are really important. They have, although we might think this is all about the world, it has a local impact. If you are a small business and you are looking to produce something, you need components, you need spare parts, you need bits of equipment. So if you can find it cheaper, better, more secure, then you can develop your business and you can take the risk and invest into it. So that's the third element of what we are providing through this project that we're doing at the moment. We have a smaller project as well. I say a smaller project, a project that we added onto it after we were awarded the contract. And that is to support businesses from the Ukraine. We're very passionate about our role in the world. We're a tiny, tiny organisation. We can't make a difference. People are not going to listen to us. I could go and stand on every platform in the world and people will go, so what? But what we can do is we can work locally. We can help people locally. So what we've done is we've reached out to Ukrainians who are displaced. And throughout the world, there are about 9.5 million displaced Ukrainians throughout the world. And we've reached out in the UK. So we've reached out to Edinburgh, we've reached out to North Wales, we've reached out to Mid Wales, and we're reaching out to other parts of the England at the moment, excuse me. And we've simply said to them, if you want to start a business, we will support you to start that business. We will train you, we will help you, we will provide the resources that we have at our disposal to help to create a business. So that A, you are economically independent in your host country, but B, hopefully, you will actually be able to trade amongst your fellow Ukrainians and create a network of Ukrainians throughout the world. We've started it in the UK. We are close to starting it in Ireland. We've got a few little teething problems to be able to get that done. And we are reaching out to Poland and to Germany and to the United States. And our vision is to be able to create a network of Ukrainians living throughout the world and allow them a platform to be able to sell their products through that network to each other. But the big point of all of this is that we want to be able to support the economy in Ukraine. We're working towards a peaceful solution at some stage. It has to end some stage, and there will be reconstruction needs in there. And if we can actually empower Ukrainian businesses that are outside of Ukraine to be in an economically strong position to be able to go back to Ukraine or to at least trade with Ukraine, then we are having a dramatic effect. So a tiny, tiny little ant in the world called ITSG can actually make a global difference with what we're doing. And we've had a huge enthusiasm from partners we've talked to about this, including the British Embassy in Kyiv. And we're hopeful that this project will build. It's small at the moment. We're tiny, tiny. In Newtown, we are reaching out to Ukrainians. At the moment, we're finding it, I've got to be honest and say, we're finding it really difficult for people to engage with us. And we're looking at the reasons for that. We don't know the reasons for that yet, but we want to. We've just concluded our first full project in Edinburgh. I've got one or two ladies that I'm just doing a couple of bits for. The result of the one in Edinburgh is that we have 5 companies that are actually trading internationally now. 5 companies. They don't employ anyone, but the products that they are producing are pretty significant. In North Wales, we have two companies, both of them are food producers, and we've actually got one that is considering importing flour from Ukraine. So we've got trade going backwards and forwards to these different countries. So it is a project that will grow. That's just one example of the reach of an organisation or 2 organisations, Ansra Cymru and ITSG, working together with a common aim, and again funded through the UK Shared Prosperity Fund, basically. So during the course of today, you're going to hear a lot more about these types of activities that we're going to be doing. This afternoon, we're going to be talking specifically about 2 things. One is going to be the development of this CPTPP economy, which Keith is going to be able to talk about individual countries, individual opportunities, and how we can support you in being able to get closer to those opportunities. And then we're going to talk a lot of detail about a Celtic trading network that we are in the process of developing. The Celtic trading network is basically bringing together what's good culturally, language-wise, and also producer-wise from Celtic nations. And we've already spoken, we've got enormous support for this to happen from Ireland, from Scotland, obviously from Wales, we're reaching out from there, the Basque region, a few little blips at the moment because of the tragedy there. But we've also got, ironically, Cornwall. Now you'd think, well, you know, Cornwall is a county down in the southwest of England. Cornwall is a very passionate Celtic nation as far as they're concerned. And we reached out to the council down there, the Cornish Council, and they went, yeah, this is something we're really interested in. When we were in America, we talked about that, and when I was over there, I was very fortunate to meet the St. Patrick's Day celebration team, which is a major industry. I didn't realise it. Several million US dollars it generates every year. So we met the chief executive of that, who is really keen to be able to develop Wales, or to encourage Wales to participate with the Irish community in there. So again, real opportunities, real chances for Welsh companies to be able to get a foothold in the international trade arena. Tiny companies, doesn't matter. You're never too small to export. So I'm going to end it there, and then we're going to introduce Keith Stringer. Keith Stringer is a co-director. Keith and I founded ITSG together. I'll let him do his own introduction, other to say that I wouldn't be standing here now if it wasn't for Keith actually sitting in front of me and saying, let's go do this. Because I was in a nice job where I was earning, sort of wages, and I'd paid holidays, and I could go off sick and all that kind of stuff. And Keith brought me back into the real world, and I don't know whether I forgive him for that, but we're here and this is where we are. So, Keith Stringer.